All right, we are live streaming now. All right, we are live streaming now. Perfect. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Cool. So step number one, we've confirmed that this property is distressed, both with the pictures and with the description. The next thing that I want to do is I want to answer this question, and I'm going to say this multiple times so y'all can write it down, because this is the question that after have I confirmed that this property is distressed? This is the next most important question, which is, if this property was in updated condition, how much would it be worth? Okay, if this property was in updated condition, how much would it be worth? If this property was in updated condition, how much would it be worth? Okay, and I don't want you to worry about answering that question yet. I just want you to know that that's the question we need to answer. Okay. And I'm going to open something that I really want y'all to take a picture of, because this is going to be super important. Okay, so we're thinking in our minds, if this property was in updated condition, how much would it be worth? And so in order to know that, Melissa, can I pick on you real quick? Okay. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, and I'm picking on Melissa. She could take it. This is for all of our benefits. So imagine that you're answering these questions as well. So Melissa, you said this property be worth 320 to 350.
Yeah.
Why, what gives you that indication?
I ran the comps in that area.
Melissa's I already did the work.
Yeah. I wanted to see if I was right.
All right. Okay. So we'll see. So we'll come back at the end of the call and we'll see what number we end up on. But if Melissa had said, oh, because, right now it's selling for 275 and therefore I think it'd be worth a little bit more, there's no way to know that. What if this property needs $1 million worth of work? Well, then afterwards, we would have to see, is it worth 5 million? Okay, great deal. Right? Or if afterwards I put $1 million worth of work into it and it's only going to be worth 375, bad deal. Right? So we have to actually go through a process. We can't just make a guess. So in order to answer the question, how much would this property be worth if it was in updated condition, we want to run comps. And this is the most important graphic that I use whenever I'm running comps. So take a picture of this, draw it for yourself, do whatever you got to do, but get this in your notes, in your mind, in your phone, and then I will go into explaining it a little bit more. So in order to answer the question of what would this property be worth if it was in updated condition, we want to compare it, and I'll write this down. In order to answer that question, you want to compare your subject property, which is the property we're talking about, the subject of our attention. We want to compare our subject property to similar properties that have already been updated. Okay, we want to compare our subject property to similar properties that have already been updated. Okay, compare our subject property to similar properties that have already been updated. All right, so I've got my subject property down here. It's distressed. And I want to know what it would be worth if it wasn't distressed. So I want to look at similar properties that are not distressed. And that will tell me, oh, that's a good comparison, right? That'll kind of let me compare apples to apples. I actually don't care what other distressed properties are selling for. I'm not selling a distressed property. I'm trying to find the ARV, which stands for the after repair value, which will tell me after this property is repaired, here's what the value is. So I have to compare to other properties that are already repaired. And the way that we do that is we want to follow the order. If you guys remember like PEMDAS in school, where it's like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, you have to like go in order, parentheses, then exponents, then multiply, right? If you try to go to subtract first, and then you're dividing, and then you're going to exponents, your answer is going to be wrong. You're going to be all confused. It's the same thing. That's the same way that we're going to approach running comps. We want to follow the order. Let's say we find 100 properties, okay? We want to dump them all into the top of this funnel. Just imagine we like pour them into the top of the funnel. And at stage 1, we want to look for, out of those 100, the ones that are nearby and sold less than 6 months ago. Why? Because similar. We want properties that are similar to our subject property, because then we can have confidence at what it's going to sell for, at what our property is going to be worth afterwards. Let's say out of those 100, 80 of them are nearby and they sold less than 6 months ago. Okay, well then 80 have made it to level 2. And then we're going to look at those 80, how many of them have already been updated or flipped by an investor? Because again, we're looking for the after repair value. So we want to compare it to things that have already been repaired. Let's say out of those 80, 50 have been updated. Okay, so we've got 50 that are going through this funnel and have made it to level 3 of a similar size. Something I would write in my notes here is that I generally have a rule of like plus or minus about 500 square feet. Okay, it's just a rule of thumb. It's not a hard rule, and you'll learn how to make adjustments, but about plus or minus 500 square feet. So if I have a property that's 1,500 square feet, I'm willing to kind of compare that to properties up to 2,000 square feet or down to 1,000 square feet. But I'm not going to compare my 1,500 square foot property to a 5,000 square foot property, right? That's just not similar enough. It's not similar enough to give me a confident comparison. Let's say, what do we have left? 50. Let's say out of those 50, only 30 of them were of similar size. Okay, so then 30 out of our 100 that we started with have kind of sifted down to level 4. We want to do similar bedroom and bathroom. This one is a more difficult rule of thumb, but what I would say here is you want to consider the family living in the house. Okay, that's what I'll put in my notes. Consider the family living in the house. So if I think about a 2-bedroom property, a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, is the same family that lives in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom going to want to live, or is that going to be the same family living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom as the family living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom? Probably not, right? 1 bathroom is usually a big deal, especially if you have kids, right? That extra 3rd bedroom and a 2nd bathroom, that's probably going to be a different type of family living there. You might have a couple or even just a single person living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and a family living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Those are different situations. But if I think, okay, what about a 4-bedroom, 3-bath versus a 5-bedroom, 3-bath? Is that the same type of family living there? Yeah, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. You got 2 kids, maybe in that 5-bedroom house, they would each get their own room. 4-bedroom house, we're doing bunk beds. But it's not like a significantly different lifestyle from a single person to a married couple with a kid, right? Even though in those examples, there's still only 1 bedroom different, right? 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom versus 4-bedroom to 5-bedroom. That's why I can't tell you a rule of thumb that's like, oh, if it's 1 bedroom bigger, it's always okay. You actually have to consider, are those still similar properties? And I do that by thinking about like, okay, who's the person that's actually going to live in this house? And would they consider those similar or would they be different? Okay. Then we want to go into, let's say that of our 30, there's 10 that are similar enough of bedroom and bathroom. Then we want to go to our last, we want to look at the similar style and similar year built. And this is another one that's going to be a gut feeling and an experience thing. So when we're thinking about style, we've all seen those neighborhoods where it's like everything is completely cookie cutter, right? Like every house looks the exact same. And in those neighborhoods, style is important because if I'm going to compare one house to another and everything looks the same, then those are comparable. But you've probably also seen those neighborhoods that are like have a lot of character and they're kind of just like patchwork. Like every house looks completely different and you're probably not going to find a similar house in that neighborhood. Well, then that's okay because that's the norm of that neighborhood. And we'll go through an example live together. Similar thing with a year built, where if I'm looking at a house from 1900 versus 1920, those are both really old houses. They've probably been through a couple of iterations. Those are probably similar enough at this point. But if I think about a house from like 1985 to 2005, even though there's still a 20-year gap, they're probably in very different conditions and probably not very similar in terms of their build quality. Okay, so these are all going to be gut feelings that we get as we practice. And let's say I think we had 10 left after we did similar bed and bath. Let's say only 5 are left after we do similar style and year. So we've just gone in an organized fashion through coming in with 100 properties, and we did not examine them one by one, right? We looked at only this characteristic first. And then whatever made it through, we looked at this characteristic. And then whatever made it through, we looked at this characteristic. It's going to get so confusing if you take one property and try to run it through all of these. And then you take your second property and try to run it through all of these. And then your third, it's going to get completely unmanageable. When we go through in this organized fashion, then we can come to a principle that I want you guys to write down in your notes, which is comps equal confidence. Comps equals confidence. Comps equals confidence. And so the more similar my comps are, the more confidence I have in the number, like the estimate of what this property could be worth. The less similar my comps are, the less confident I'm going to be. The more comps I have, the more confidence I am. The fewer comps I have, the less confident I am. And I would say that one of probably the number one questions that we get emailed to us or that I get asked in the comment section is like, Lily, I found a great deal, but there's no comps. Then it's not a great deal, right? It's not a great deal. If there's no comps, meaning no one else nearby in the last 6 months has updated a similar home and successfully sold it, it's not a great deal. I don't want to be the first person to try to go to that neighborhood and successfully update and sell a home. I want to see that somebody else has been successful, and then I just want to ride on their coattails, right? Leave the big time stuff for the big time players. I want to have confidence that this type of deal works, and then I want to replicate it. So let's go into this example here. Hopefully that makes sense. And the reason I don't just jump right into, all right, click this button, go here, do that, is because anybody could teach you the steps, but you have to be able to think through the process for yourself, because you're probably going to evaluate hundreds of deals over the course of your career. And if you don't understand what you're doing and why you're doing things, then you're always just going to be reaching out to somebody for help. You're going to be dependent on them to help you to get a deal done. But I want you guys to have the tools to be able to do it for yourself. All right, we're going to go into questions in a little bit, but let's go through, we'll go through questions at the end. Let's go through how we run the comps. So I'm going to go as slow as possible, but remember this call is being recorded. So if you miss like what button did you press there, you can always go back and watch the recording. I have let me move this. I have our property up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this map right here. So right next to the information, hit this map. And then Redfin has this cool feature that says nearby homes for sale. And I always just make sure I know where the property is before I hit that. So it's at the corner of 91st Avenue and Camelback Road. Give me some nods if y'all are seeing this, just to make sure everybody can see. Okay, cool. So it's at that corner, and it's like right here, kind of in the middle. Taco Boys closed down, so sad at the top. So now I know where I'm at. The church is down there. The school is down there. Cool. So I hit that nearby homes for sale. And what Redfin is going to do, it's going to drop me on a map right where that property was. Now, you usually have to zoom out to actually see it. I know my property is right around here. So I'm zooming out. And there we go. There's Camelback Road. There's 91st Ave. I know that there's going to be like a church down here somewhere. The church is over there. But I know that my property is right around here. And so who remembers the very first layer of our funnel that we want to filter properties through? Okay, who remembers that very first layer? Drop it in the chat box if you remember it. Okay, drop it in the chat box if you see it. All right, cool. So we're looking for nearby and sold in the last 6 months. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this drawing tool right here. And I know that my property is right around here. And my main rule of thumb is I don't cross any major roads or landmarks. So I don't want to cross any big roads. I don't want to cross any highways. I don't want to cross any rivers or train tracks. Just like that saying, oh, that's on the other side of the train tracks. That's a different neighborhood. It no longer counts as nearby if I have to cross any of those types of things. I want to keep into what this neighborhood is. So I know my property is here. And on Redfin, I can see that the major roads are thicker and they have the font is bigger. So it's actually really easy for me to see that I can just make a square around my property on the major roads that surround my property. And boom, now I'm only looking at properties within here. And then I also want to look only at the ones that sold in the last 6 months. Okay, so I just handled my first layer. I'm ignoring everything outside of my nearby and sold less than 6 months ago. So I have 48 homes. So we've dumped 48 into the top that are now going to that second layer. Give me, if you remember, what's the second layer? What are we looking for next? Okay, what are we looking for next? Updated or flipped by an investor? Absolutely. Because remember, the entire point of running comps is to find out what would this property, our subject property, be worth if it was in updated condition. So I need to find other similar properties in updated condition so that I can have a comparison point. So what I like to do on Redfin, I like to come over to where it says price per square foot, and I like to hit that twice. And what that does is it gives me an arrow down and it orders everything from most expensive to least expensive. And as we know, things that are updated are likely going to be the most expensive. So this just kind of lets me organize my list of 48 homes so that I can go through them. So this first one doesn't have any pictures. What I would do here is one, I would go to PropStream. So if you have PropStream, go look at the pictures on PropStream. PropStream is a data collector. So a lot of times they will have pictures from other places on the internet. I'd also go to Zillow. I will go to realtor.com. You just got to look around, right? It's the internet. There's bound to be pictures somewhere. If this was a property that somebody put tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars into renovating, trust me, they took pictures. You just got to go hunt them down. Okay. And if you don't have PropStream and you want a free trial, you can use my link, just propstream.com/Lily. That will help support my channel, but also get you a little bit of an extended free trial if you want to try it out. Okay, I won't do that right now, but let's keep going. So then this one has pictures. And what I want us to do as I zoom in here is I want you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think this property meets our criteria of being updated or flipped by an investor. Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm going to pause on this picture. Okay, is it Carolyn, last name Hamilton? Can I ask you to unmute yourself? You're shaking your head no. Everyone else is saying yes. Please tell 189.
Oh, don't do that. Lily. No, I was thinking at first, I said, well, yeah, no. Then I thought maybe staged, but then I seen the clothes. So it was kind of tossing me off on that one.
Okay, tell me what you think, yes or no?
If it's newly renovated?
Mhm.
No, maybe updated.
Okay,
It
I
looks
agree
new.
with you. I agree with you. And good job. Give her a hand. Give her a hand, y'all. I put her on the spot. Okay, I agree with you. So at first I was thinking, this is a really good looking house, right? It's clean. Looks like we've got some fresh paint. I was looking at like the tablecloths, like maybe this is some staging. Also, I realized the dog outside, that also gave me a hint. We'll come back to that. I realized some staging, I'm like, okay, it's a nice house. There's a fake fruit basket, but then we got here and I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of cables and electronics that probably wouldn't be brought in to stage this house. There's also a closet full of clothes, right? Which this isn't staging. This is just telling me somebody lives here. So I would say that this house is not freshly updated or renovated by an investor, but that doesn't mean it's not updated, right? It says it was updated in 2019, had a new roof, new windows. I am going to click the picture, and what that does is it opens this property in a new window for me so that I can save it. And I'm going to have this in my head as, yeah, that's an updated one, but let me see if I can find investors that are like actively, freshly renovating houses in this neighborhood. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'm keeping on my list, but I'm going to keep going. I got no pictures on this one. Next up, I got this one. Let's do our thumbs up or thumbs down. Is this a freshly renovated house? What do we think? Yeah, absolutely. Somebody said flipper gray, right? They're telling us all the new stuff that they put in here, neutral colors. Absolutely. So I'm going to click that picture. It opens it up for me. I'm not looking at the prices. I'm not looking at bedrooms and bathrooms. I'm not looking at the year built. I am staying 100% focused. I am only on layer 2. Is this house updated or flipped by an investor? That's the only thing I'm thinking about. Okay. Next up. Thumbs up or thumbs down? What do we think? Okay, great opportunity, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this one, I actually think this is a thumbs up. I think this house looks freshly renovated. I think it's fresh paint. I think these are new countertops. I think these are new stainless steel appliances. Looks like fresh backsplash. Here's the thing, looks like new carpet, right? Here's the thing we have to be careful of. And I'm guilty of this because I'll always go like, ooh, that's ugly. I wouldn't have chosen that paint color. I wouldn't have chosen those countertops. I wouldn't have chosen those appliances, right? And I'm looking at it like a consumer, not like an investor. We're not looking for whether we like the update. We're looking for, did an investor update that house? And in this case, I think so. To me, this house doesn't look like somebody just moved out. It looks like an investor just came in and spruced this thing up and is waiting for a new family to move in. So I'm going to click that and we're going to go. Does that make sense when I'm like reminding myself not to think about, do I like it? Because that will throw you off. Okay. Next up. Oh, there's some interesting stuff going on with this one. I'm going to go back just to see if y'all caught that. Okay, so I actually don't need to see any other pictures because this is virtual staging, right? So this is the exact same picture. And then here, this isn't a real bed or real paintings or anything like that. This is just technology, right? Same thing with this picture, boom. Who would do this type of thing? An investor who just put money into this house, wants to show the person they want to buy it. Oh, this is what it will look like once you move in your nice furniture, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this is definitely a freshly updated house. We can kind of also see the type of flooring. You'll start to recognize these things. The kind of light gray walls that pop a little against the baseboards, the stainless steel appliances. This is fake marble countertops from Home Depot, but you get the idea. So yeah, I would absolutely, I'm going to click this picture and I'm going to say, yes, that fits in. All right, I'm going to go a little bit faster, but does everybody get the idea of how we're looking through stage 2? That's what we're looking for. Okay, this one, as I pop through these pictures, I'm going to go lightning speed, but I still want your thumbs up or thumbs down. Yep, I'm giving this one a thumbs up. So I click the picture and I'm just going to continue down my list. Thumbs up or thumbs down? So I think what we're looking at here is like updated, right? I don't think we're looking at flipped. I think we're looking at updated, but I'm still going to click it. I just want to make sure I have it, and I'm keeping it on my list. I can always take it away later. Let's see this one. What do we think? Do we think this house is flipped? Thumbs up or thumbs down? What y'all think? Here's the description. I don't see no thumbs. Is it flipped? I don't think this property is flipped, and it's because of the kitchen. Because investors, the things that sell houses, right? If you've ever been like late night in a hotel room watching HGTV, the things that sell houses are the kitchens and the bathrooms. And it doesn't look to me like any money was put into updating this kitchen. Especially with like the brown trim, that's out of style. Countertops are old, cabinets are old. Maybe these are not the oldest appliances. There are stainless steel, but just doesn't look to me like a lot of money was pumped into this kitchen. And so I'm not going to put that on our list. I would say a similar situation here, right? Like I've got white appliances, which I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with white appliances. It's just, they're not necessarily in style. This doesn't look like an updated kitchen to me. Okay, so somebody asked, how many do I go through? All of them. I want to know exactly what's happening in this neighborhood. If I'm either going to be putting my hundreds of thousands of dollars into it, a bank's hundreds of thousands of dollars into it, an investor's $100,000 into it. I want to know everything that's going on in this neighborhood. So I would go through all 48 of these. And because we ordered them in a certain way, where we went from most expensive to least, we've probably gone through most of the updated ones, but I want to get an idea for this neighborhood. All right. So what's up on level 3? We have selected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. So level 1, we had 48. After level 2, we have 6. What's level 3? What are we looking for? For all of those of you that are on YouTube, we are going over just a sneak peek of days 6 and 7 of the Beginners Bootcamp. I put a link in the chat for anybody that wants to join. We have a new group starting Saturday. There's limited spots, but there are still a couple spots open for you to get in. And I am looking at the YouTube chat box, but not as often as the Zoom one, because I only have one pair of eyes. Okay, similar size, really good. So now we know that our subject property is 1343. So we want to say this property here is 1094. Should we keep it or should we get rid of it? Keep it. I think that's similar enough size. Again, I'm not looking at anything other than size right now. I'm staying organized. I'm staying focused so that I don't get confused. This one is 945. Again, our subject property is 1343. At 945, should we keep it or get rid of it? Some of us want to keep it. Some of us want to get rid of it. Let's leave it for now. We'll come back to it. I'll tell you how I would think about that. This one's 984. Keep it or get rid of it? We want to keep it. Okay. This one's 1065. Keep it or get rid of it? Keeping it. This one is 891. Keep it or get rid of it? Okay, so there you go. You guys are starting to find your line, right? You're finding that gut feeling of like, nah, that's not going to work. This one's 984. Keep it or get rid of it? We want to keep it. Okay. So what's next? After size, what are we looking at next? Bedroom and bathroom. So we see that our subject property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And so do we want to keep or get rid of this 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom? Some say keep, a couple said get rid of, most are saying keep. Okay. What about this 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom? Okay, so I would get rid of this. And I think what most of you are feeling is like we were kind of shaky on keeping it because of size. And now we're doubly shaky on keeping it because of bedrooms and bathrooms. And remember that feeling, comps equals confidence. Is this giving us more or less confidence that this property is similar to our subject property. It's giving us less. And when you have that gut feeling, you have to follow that. Because if it's making you feel that way, when you send it to an investor and it's really their hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, that gut feeling is going to mean they're not going to buy your deal. Right? And so this is the time now to stop and not waste the time. And if you need to, move on to another deal versus pursuing this, negotiating it, putting it under contract, all knowing in the back of your mind you had that gut feeling. And then you send it to an investor who also has that gut feeling. And now there's weeks and effort and money and relationships that have been damaged because at this point, you just wanted it too bad. You wanted it to fit. And so you made it fit, even though your gut was telling you it didn't. Okay. What about this one? This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom. Okay. So we're going to keep it. We already kept 1 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It's an exact match. So I'm going to keep it. And this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. How do you guys feel about that? I would keep this one. And we're going to go from there. One thing I will point out, especially with size, is you always want to know if your property is bigger or smaller than all of your comps. Okay, so all of our comps are smaller. Okay, so that means, and we'll come back to this, we're probably going to have to do a little bit of adjusting simply because our property is bigger than all of our comps. Ideally, I would like to have some examples that are bigger and some examples that are smaller, because then I'll have a good average that kind of meets in the middle. What this is going to do is it's going to drag our average in a certain direction because we're the biggest and we're comparing to things that are smaller. And you'll see how that affects things in a moment. Is everybody following along with me? Does this make sense? Okay, cool. So next up, so we did size and now we have, or we did size and we did bedroom and bathroom. And so now we have 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, we start with 48 at the top of that funnel. Now we're going down. What's after size? What's after size? Okay, style and year built. I will pause here to address a comment. So Roy says you wouldn't recommend comping a 2-bedroom with anything other than a 2-bedroom. Learn that from an appraiser. Okay, I think that's a good example. This is what I would call an art and not a science. One thing that I think about is the reason I do size before I do bedroom and bathroom is because let's say I have 1,000 square foot property and I decide that I want to make that a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, like in this example, because I also am an artist and I want to use some of the space in the house for like a studio that doesn't technically qualify as a bedroom, because to qualify as a bedroom, you have to have a closet, a window, and a door. So let's say I don't want any windows in my studio, and I don't want a closet, but I want to use that space. Well, someone else might take that same 1,000 square foot property and put a 3rd bedroom. And so that's why I look at size first as being more important than bedroom and bathroom, because people can kind of do what they want with the size. But if you just don't have the size, then you're kind of, you're kind of locked in. So I agree that that's a good point. I think if this was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and if it was any smaller, I definitely wouldn't count this one. But in this example, I'm willing to leave it in, and I am going to make some adjustments at the end, but I'm willing to leave it in. I feel confident enough that it's big enough and has a 2nd bathroom that I think it's similar enough. Again, just my gut, you follow your gut, but at least know why you're making decisions. Okay. All right. We're going to style and year built. So we've got the picture of the property right here. If you ever don't have a picture of the property, you can always go to Street View. If you don't have a good one of the front, and the Street View will show you what it looks like. Okay. So this is the style. Is this a similar enough style? Absolutely. Similar enough style? Absolutely. Similar enough style? What's your gut saying? Probably not, right? Similar enough style? Okay, this is one of those cookie cutter neighborhoods, right? Where there are replicated styles over and over again. So when something stands out, it's very obvious that it probably shouldn't be compared. If all of our comps were all of these different styles, then cool, leave them all in, because that's the type of the neighborhood. But to a certain extent, this neighborhood is pretty cookie cutter, and we have these examples that everyone in their gut felt a lot of confidence about. And so that's the direction that we want to follow. I then look at year built. If you scroll down on Redfin, it'll show you the year built. This house was built in 1982. This one was built in 1973. You want to keep it or you want to get rid of it? I'm keeping it. This one was built in 1973. I'm keeping it. And this one was built in 1972. I'm keeping it. So we've made it to the end. We started out with, at level 1, 48 properties that were nearby and sold in the last 6 months. And now we've gone through all of our funnels and we've identified 3 properties that are similar and in updated condition that will give us an idea of what our property will sell for once it's in updated condition. Let's pause there. Just like let that process sink in. Okay, so we've done it in organized fashion. These 3 properties, I would feel really good about if an investor came to me and said, how much could this property sell for? I would say, well, I've got 3 properties that are right in that same neighborhood, recently sold, similar in terms of bedroom, bathroom, style, year built, and have already been updated by other investors and successfully sold. So I would have confidence that if done correctly, our property would successfully sell. Okay. Square footage still bothers you. We're going to get to that in just a second because it's bothering me too. Okay, because these are a lot smaller properties. So let's go into the next step. And the next step I'll write down is to look at your price per square foot average. Look at your price per square foot average. If any of y'all have your phone, I don't have my phone on me right now, but if you have your phone, pull up your calculator because I'm going to need you to do some math for me because I am not a math whiz. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the average price per square foot of our comps. So this property sold for $292 per square foot. Okay. Add 292 to 299 and then add 351 and divide that by 3. Somebody put that in the chat box for me. So we got 351 plus 299 plus 292 divided by 3, 314. Just in case any of you don't know about why I divided by 3, it's because we have 3 comps, right? If I had 5 comps and I was adding 5 numbers together, then I would divide it by 5. So it's not the same every time. It just depends on how many comps you have. Okay, so on average, these properties, our comps sold for $314 per square foot. So if we were comparing that to our subject property, multiply 314 times 1343. We're crowdfunding this math. If all of y'all say the same thing, I'm going to assume you're right. You can't all be wrong in the same way. So 314 times 1343. Oh, we got some different answers, y'all. Help me out here. Okay. I think 421,702 is winning. Don't get me if this is wrong. I'm going off what y'all say. Okay. 421,702. I want y'all to look at keep that in mind. Just think 420,000 and look at what our comps actually sold for. 319, 294, 345. What do we think is happening here? Put that in the chat box. What is happening? Why are we getting 420,000 as our potential sale price when our comps sold for 319, 294, and 345? Yeah, so Jeff, I'm gonna answer what you said here, respond to what you said. Is this not the market trend, right? All of these comps sold within the last 6 months. This one sold in October, this one sold in March, this one sold in January. Okay, so it's not market trend because we're not looking over a long enough time period. And it is because of the square footage, but to be specific, price per square foot on a smaller property is going to be more because it's a smaller property. So we took the price per square foot for smaller properties and applied that to a bigger property, which overinflated our number. It would be the same way if we were comparing it to all bigger properties and we were looking at a smaller property, it would underinflate. That doesn't make sense. It would deflate our numbers. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All of our properties are smaller. And so when we take a smaller price per square foot and apply it to a bigger property, it's going to look like this is a home run crazy deal. That's why I didn't want to just show y'all a perfect deal. I want to show you one that has some nuance to it. So there's a couple of things that I would do here. I'm going to, one, realize that my comp number is coming in way too high because the properties are bigger. And so what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to average, instead of the price per square foot, go ahead and average out the sales price. $319 plus $294,000. So $319,900 plus $294,000 plus $345,000 and divide that by 3. Okay, 319,000. Now, the reason that I still want to know my price per square foot is because price per square foot gets me apples to apples, right? If I only ever look at sales price, that will, well, let me put it this way. Price per square foot tells me about the condition. Size just tells me about the size. There could be a really big distressed property that sells for the same price as a really small fixed up property. Okay, think about an abandoned mansion versus a fixed up 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. Those might sell for similar prices. But if we look at the price per square foot, we're going to see that there's a higher price per square foot on the fixed up smaller property because price per square foot tells you value. Whereas the abandoned mansion is probably going to have a lower price per square foot because it's going to be less expensive because it's abandoned and it's not in good condition. Hopefully that makes sense. That's why it's important to look at both, because price per square foot is going to give you an idea of value. So in this case, I think that our answer is somewhere between 319,000 and 400,000. It's probably not 319,000 because our property is bigger than all of these other ones. And when compared to this one, we even have an extra bedroom. So it's probably not 319,000. But I also know it's not 400,000 because that was just skewed because these properties are smaller. So I would probably place my estimate at 340,000. Somewhere around there. And honestly, I would call James or Amy, right? There's your phone number. Call them. And I'll say, hey, I'm a new investor and I was running some comps on your listing on Highland Avenue. And I just wanted to know, what do you think that property could sell for if it was completely fixed up? Each and every one of y'all could do that today. They could get 100, 200 calls today and be like, what the heck is happening? But you know what? Maybe 1 or 2 of you will do it. Now that I said it, I'm sure all of you will do it or do this when you're practicing. But most people are just too afraid to pick up the phone and ask that question. And look, that's their job. That's why their number is here. Their job is to tell interested people the details about this conversation. And a lot of times they're actually going to want to talk. Right. And so I talked about the boot camp. One of the things we do is we practice this. We call agents. We go through questions that you want to ask agents and different documents you can try to get from them. But that's also what I would do, as I would ask, because guess what? They ran the comps. So it's 6:29. I'm going to keep going. If you have to leave, please feel free. You will get this call recording. But if you want to stay, we'll keep going. We're going to go into a rehab budget and come into an offer price in a moment. Okay. There's nothing to lose. One thing I will say to take pressure off of that initial call is you can start the call with, I'm not yet ready to make an offer, but I was looking at your property on Highland Park, right? Now they know, oh, this person, they're not expecting you to send them a contract and an earnest money check today, right? It's lowered the, it's lowered the barrier to entry. I'm not yet ready to make an offer, but I would love if you have a moment to ask you 1 or 2 questions about your listing. I'm a new investor. I always say I'm new. I don't care if you've been doing it for 20 years. You can just say you're new because people like to feel like they know more than you. So let them feel that way, right? I'm new. Please help me. Great. Give me all the information I need. Versus, that's just my opinion. But versus, I think sometimes we're like, oh, I'm a super experienced investor. And then it's like, okay, well, then they don't need to tell you nothing. I actually want them to tell me as much as possible because then I'm going to have more information to make a better decision with. So I'm new. Help me, please. And I go from there. Okay, so I'm going to say, what did I say? 340,000. Let's go with that. Let's be conservative. I'm going to say 330,000. Why? Because it's better to have a deal that I think was this good and it's actually this good versus having a deal I thought was this good and it's actually this good. Okay, so let's go 330. Why not? So what we're going to do here is we're next up going to start plugging numbers into our maximum allowable offer formula. Okay, so this is MAO, maximum allowable offer, and I'm going to put this in the chat box for you guys. And we're going to do it like this. And okay, so we're going to take our ARV. We're going to multiply that by 70%. Put that in the chat box for me. Our 330,000 times 70%. What does that equal? 231. Did everybody get that? Okay, cool. I'm rocking with what y'all said. Then from that number, we would take out our rehab budget. We would take out our wholesale fee, and that would tell us what's the maximum allowable offer we could make to buy this property and still have a good deal on our hands. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll go through why we multiply by 70%, but first I want to show you how we're going to do the rehab budget without actually being contractors. Boom. Tab. Okay. So let me do these on a split screen. Okay, can y'all see these two screens? Me on the left, the property on the right. Okay, so this is what I was telling you guys. This is the beginner's boot camp. These are the 14 days and all of the videos and documents and whatnot. This is where we have our contracts. This is where we have our offer sheets. This is everything. And on day 7, you would see our rehab calculators. And basically what this video goes through is how we calculate rehab. This is something that I'm gonna go through with you guys and how to use our rehab calculator. And so I'm gonna open this up. And as a wholesaler, it is not my job to get an exact rehab budget for my investors. Why? Because every investor is different. Some investors are going to want to put in $5 carpet. Some investors are going to want to put in $10 carpet. Some investors are going to put in the fake marble from Home Depot. Some investors are going to put in real marble. And that's going to skew their rehab budgets drastically. My job as a wholesaler is to get a reasonable estimate based on the condition of the property and the things that I know. And so what this calculator is meant to do is to help you get a reasonable estimate. If you live, and it's based on prices in the average US market. If you are in the top 10% of more expensive markets, take what the answer you get from here and increase it. If you are in the bottom 10% least expensive markets, take what you get here and decrease it. This is a middle of the road, easy estimate. So what we're going to do is we go through, and this is the basic version of the calculator. We put in the size of the property. So it's 1343. Looks like it's a 1-story property. Then we're going to think about what level of finish does this property need? Well, looking at our comps, and let's go to this one right here. Remember I was saying like, this isn't real marble, right? If it was real marble, I would go that this has a high level finished property. If I was in a really high-end neighborhood where there were marble and chandeliers and, you know, all of that, then I would go high-end finishes. It's probably a low to medium end neighborhood, right? Like these aren't like a sub-zero fridge and like, you know, 17 burner stove. That's high end. It's probably low to medium. I'll overestimate a little bit with my rehab budget so that, again, it's better to think it's going to cost more and it costs less than think it's going to cost less and actually cost more. So I'm going to say that it's a medium finish. And then we had 2 bathrooms. Okay, and then we just go through. We're going to put in the things that we think our subject property needs. I do think this needs a new roof, right? Roofs are really important. Looks like it needs a new roof. I don't know if there's any foundation damage, but I could also just call Amy and Joe and just ask, do you think there's any foundation damage? Have you seen any? And they're going to be like, I'm not a structural engineer. That's fine. Have you seen any cracking? Did the previous owner complain of any uneven door jams, et cetera, et cetera? Let's say that there's a low level that's needed. And in terms of the demolition, there's not like, this isn't a hoarder house, right? This is just a cosmetic, rip out the carpets. You know, maybe that's it. Rip out the old countertops, you know, haul off just a couple of different things. This is definitely a basic clean out that needs to be done. Then we think about the flooring in the bedrooms. Let's say this is a bedroom, or let's say this is a bedroom, ugly carpet. Okay, so we need to replace the flooring in the bedrooms. Yes, so I'm going to toggle that on. The flooring type in there, do we want to go back in with carpet? Do we want to go in with vinyl, hardwood? Let's check our comps. That's where my answers come from. What's in the bedrooms of our comps? Oh, it's that investor gray vinyl. Okay, that's what we're going to do. What about in the living space? Same thing. Get rid of that carpet. We're going to go with vinyl. Do you see how I'm just matching what is already in my comps? And that's because the closer I match, the more confidence I have that my property could sell for what this property sold for. Okay. You don't have to be an architect to decide what a property needs. Just look at your comps. That's what you're comparing to anyway. Do we need to paint the interior? Yep. Every house is going to need to be painted. This house definitely needs to be painted. Do we need to update the bathrooms? Yes. Do we need to update the kitchens? Yes. Do we need to update the exterior? I think the exterior could also use a coat of paint, right? We're putting on a new roof. Let's paint the exterior. Plumbing. I don't know if there are plumbing like repairs needed, but I do know that like we're going to update the kitchens and bathrooms. And so those are going to be some plumbing fixtures. I've got a sink in the kitchen. I've got 2 sinks in the bathroom, and I've got 2 showers in the bathroom. So that's 5 plumbing fixtures. I'm just going to throw that in there. Electrical, I'm going to say that we need to get new lights, right? So I'm going to need lights in the kitchen, lights in the bedroom or in the bathrooms, lights in all 3 of the bedrooms, the living room, and let's call it 2 hallways. That's 9. Let's round up. We're going to need 10 fixtures updated. Do I know that that's exact? No, but I'm budgeting $2,500 for it. That should probably be a good estimate for an investor to then go through and do what they need to do with it. Okay. So from there, HVAC. I don't know if this property needs a new furnace or a new AC condenser or whatnot, but do you know who probably does know? James and Amy, right? So let's say they tell us, yeah, it needs a new water heater. It has or a new furnace. It has a new condenser, but it does need a new water heater. Okay. Landscaping actually doesn't look bad. I think it's probably pretty good. Now, maybe it's a little overgrown now. It looks overgrown in the street view, but I don't know when this was taken. So let's just put a low level of work needed there. This tells me just an estimate of about $56,000 it's going to take to renovate this property. Okay. And when you use this calculator and you put in your email, it'll also send you like a PDF outline that you could share with your investors of how you came to that basic estimate. Again, this is a basic estimate. I am not guaranteeing an investor that if they buy this house, it's going to cost them this much. I am saying based on the needs of the property and the research I've done, this is about what I think. I would actually round this up to 60,000 just to be safe. Okay, so let's go back to our MAO formula. And we had 330,000 times 70%. So that equaled 231. Now do 231 minus our 60,000. Okay, and I'll get y'all links to everything in just a moment. I just want to finish out how we come to an offer price. Okay, so now we're at 171. What do we want to make on this property? Well, I would say you should always work in at least $10,000 of a wholesale fee for yourself. My first deal, I worked in a $10,000 wholesale fee. I got one offer, came back, I would make $6,000 on that deal. They offered me $4,000 less than I wanted. I was like, heck yeah, I'll take that. Give them my $6,000, right? Versus if you only work 5,000 or 3,000 in for you, and then you get an offer that comes back lower, you may not even be able to take it. You can, of course, ask for 10,000, 15,000, whatever you want, but just consider that. Okay. What happens when we subtract 171? We subtract our $10,000 wholesale fee. We're now at 161,000 for our maximum offer price. That's obviously a lot less than the 275 that they're asking for. Okay. For one, it does say that this property is pending. We don't know what it's under contract for. It could be under contract for 200. It could be under contract for 100. We don't know. I am of the opinion that you should make a lot of home run offers so that when you get one, you have a really good deal and you can actually pass it off to an investor. I don't think you should try and squeak by and get a so-so deal under contract by offering more than what it's worth, because then you're going to have to try to squeak by and find an investor who's willing to buy it. But if you make a bunch of offers that are home run offers, you'll be confident that you can actually pass those off to investors and make some money on them. It's the same thing for myself right now. Like, I am only making home run offers for myself to buy because the market's kind of iffy. Interest rates are going up. I want to make sure that if I do get a deal, it's a home run deal. I don't want to get just so-so deals and then end up losing money on them. That's how a lot of investors are thinking right now. But let's just make a quick adjustment. And let's say we did go with, instead of 330,000, let's say we went with that 420,000. Okay, so do 420,000 times 70%. 420,000 times 70%. And then minus our $60,000 rehab budget. $234, and then minus our $10,000 wholesale fee, which would take us down to $224. And then you can see we're a lot closer to our $275 that they're asking. But this is a mistake. We already in our gut said this house wasn't going to sell for, what do we say, 420,000, right? Because of the work that we went through. So a lot of times, especially what new investors will do, is they'll go through and they'll find the number that makes sense based on the work. And then they'll start to massage it and be like, oh, maybe it'll sell for a little more. Maybe the rehab will be a little bit less, and try to make it work. Okay. But I actually would not offer more than 160 or 170,000 for this property. Why? Because I can see what the comp sold for. I've got an estimate of how much the rehab is going to cost. And I want to make sure that I make money on the deal. It's not worth doing the deal if I'm going to lose money on it. And that's how the investors who are considering buying y'all's deals, how they're going to consider it. Okay, drop your questions in the chat box. I'm going to drop a couple links for you guys if you want to join the bootcamp, if you want to get your hands on the calculators. I also have another calculator that we use. So there's the advanced calculator. The one we just went through was the basic, but the advanced calculator has a lot more inputs. So if you want to get into a lot more things in terms of materials and things like that, the prices are still built in for you, but you can go there. Okay, a lot of questions, let me grab these links for y'all real quick, and then we will, so drop your questions while I find these links for y'all. And then we'll go through the questions and finish up. Okay, drop your questions. I'm almost ready. Okay, let's go into these questions. So what I put in the chat box is I put the link to this month's beginners boot camp. There are still a couple of spots left for those of y'all that want to get in. We start Saturday, but don't wait until Saturday, because once it fills up, it fills up. But what you'll get with that is you'll get 3 small group Zoom calls with the coach for my team. That's why we keep the group small, so there's not 100 people in the Zoom room. You can actually get your questions answered, and you'll do more practice problems and stuff like that. So you get 3 calls like that. You'll get 14 days of that instruction. You'll get all the calculators, and you'll also get access to our Facebook group, which is where I'm in there answering questions, offering support. So if you want to sign up for that, do sign up. Probably tonight or tomorrow night, it'll get full, and we'll have the first call on Saturday. I also put a link in there to get a free trial of our monthly training program, which is $9, which is also where you get access to the calculators. And again, a coach from my team does multiple practice problems like this every month, sends you the address, you can run the numbers on them, and then you can practice. You'll see the recordings, et cetera, et cetera. So those are how to get access to our help if you're trying to, get your investing journey off the road and you want more help. If you have any questions about those, drop that in the chat box. Boom. Someone said, so for the monthly training program, it is $9 a month. Like I said, that link is for a free trial. So you can get in there, you can see it, you can watch the trainings, you can check out the calculators, make sure they're going to work for you. The boot camp, there's a 3-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if you're not happy with the program and you want your money back, we'll give you your money back. We've had over like 500 or 600 people over the last 2 years join, and we've done probably around 3 people money back. So people are super happy with it, but after 3 days, if you're not, it's 100% money back. So you just shoot us an email and let us know. All right, let's get into some of y'all's questions. Do I ever change my ARV value to 75 or 80% instead of 70%? Yes, this depends on the market. So the lower that number, that 70%, means that you're taking away 30%. And that is a 30% buffer for your investors' fees, for their profit, and for their risk, right? So they have an extra 30% to make money with. If things go really well and they spend 10% on fees and nothing goes wrong, then they'll make 20% of profit. But if 10% goes wrong, 10% on fees, then they'll make 10% of profit. So when the market is bad, investors want a bigger buffer. So investors are starting to ask for 70 or 75% so they can have more of a buffer. During COVID, I had buyers who were like, Lily, send me anything. I'll even buy at 80 or 85%. Because everyone was trying to scoop up deals because they thought the market was going to shoot up. And so they were willing to take less of a buffer, right? They're willing at 85% to take a 15% buffer because they were more enthusiastic and confident about the market. And so they thought if the market goes up, then my buffer will actually grow, even if it's small today. So it's more risky to have a higher number, smaller buffer. It's less risky to have a lower number, bigger buffer. So you'll see as the market gets worse, people want 70%. As the market gets better, people are willing to go up to 75, 80, 80%, 85%. These are all conversations you want to have with your buyers. And we have some questions for you and practice problems inside the boot camp of how you would approach a buyer and ask them what percentage that they're buying at. What do I recommend for investors? Have a strict no blind offers rule, especially when wholesaling in different markets. So yeah, say this listing said no blind offers. Well, then you have to respect that. Find a partner in that market. Go on Craigslist and hire someone to go see the property for you. Tell the real estate agent, hey, will you FaceTime with me? I'm actually really seriously considering purchasing this property, but I am an out-of-state investor. Will you FaceTime and walk me through it? That's their rule, but you decide how aggressive you want to be to push through that and try that deal. Early on, for those types of deals, I just moved on to another one, right? I'm thinking about making 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 offers, not just looking at one property and like putting all my bets on that. So if there's some reason that one property doesn't work out, then you can either push through or you can move on. Why would I replace the roof? Because roofs are important and this roof looks old and these roofs look new, right? I'm just looking at my comps, right? Especially like even just the coloring, right? If you think about what updated homes look like this black and white looks very different and looks much more modern than this brown and yellow. So that's why I would replace the roof. And of course, like I don't know, but my best bet is that if the carpet looks like this, the roof is also old. That's just my best bet. Antonio, you're very welcome. Glad to hear this was helpful. Why I use 70%. We went through that. Is there a website I use that's free versus PropStream? So I use Redfin, but Redfin doesn't give you everything. I do use PropStream. I pay for PropStream every single month. And there are things that you will get out of PropStream that you're not going to get out of Redfin. It's a data collector. There's a lot more information there. It really just depends on, are you going to make it worth the monthly charge for PropStream because you're actually out there, doing the work and trying to get deals. Yeah, I paid for PropStream for probably 3 months before my first deal, which was like $100 a month. So that's $300 spent. But my first deal was $6,000, right? So it's like, okay, that was a good investment. And I've continued to pay for it because I think it's a good investment, but you have to kind of decide that for yourself. When running comps, are you going back 6 months or only 3 months? I use 6 months, but again, you could get more conservative and only use 3 months if you really feel like, man, the market is changing and I have conversations with my buyers where they're no longer willing to look for deals that have 6 month comps, but only want 3 months, but 6 months is the industry standard. That's what I use. MAO is my maximum allowable offer. And the reason that I would make that offer or less, right? If my MAO is 170, I could offer 140 and have some room to negotiate. But what it tells you is kind of working backwards from what the property would be worth, my ARV, times my 70%, so taking away a 30% buffer for my investor, minus my rehab budget, minus my wholesale fee, is basically telling me what number could I buy this deal for, and then add all of that back in, and it still work out. If I offer too high, then there won't be room for my investor's profit. There won't be room for my wholesale fee. There won't be room for my rehab budget. But if I kind of work backwards from my ARV and take all of those things out, it'll tell me a price that I can be confident I can add all of that back in. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. In today's market, would I recommend 60 to 65? Investors are being more critical, but I think 70% is really the rule. And you want to talk to buyers in your market, right? You want to start having those conversations because what's happening in New York is probably different than what's happening in New Orleans, which is probably different than what's happened in Seattle, probably different with what's happening in LA, right? So you got to have those conversations. Get in Facebook groups, get in Bigger Pockets forums, and stay up to date on the conversations that are happening. Connect with real estate agents, right? Especially if you find a real estate agent who's also an investor, like, man, we got a list of questions that you can ask them, like, yeah, what do you see buyers purchasing at? Do you see buyers getting more conservative with their offer price? Those types of things. Hi, you're very welcome. We're not going to go into how to make offers, just as that is a whole nother hour, but that is something that we go through in the boot camp, and we lay out what do you need to send with your offer. We have a document that you can send as a template, that type of thing. Do you need to start your LLC before you make a deal? We talk about LLCs. I have a team that set up my LLC. And so you can use that same team to set up yours. They have once you are in the boot camp, you'll get the link to that where you would be able to take a free call with them, tell them your specific situation, how much money you make, what state you live in, are you married, do you have kids, blah, 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 blah. And they will be able to give you like an actual personalized answer. I can't say what would be best. So that's an option. Xavier said, would it be better to keep your square foot in 100 to 300 square foot range? The more similar you get, the more comps you're going to have, or the more confidence you're going to have in your comps, but you also don't want to subtract things so much that you never have any comps, right? Your investors aren't necessarily looking for exact matches because most houses aren't exact matches, but you're looking for a reasonable level of similarity, and you get to decide what that reasonable level is. All right, Milena's joining on Friday. We look forward to seeing you. Love the calculators. I appreciate it. Do we help you get your first deal? Everything you need to get your first deal is in the boot camp. And of course, we have the trainings, the weekly calls to help you out, and you can get support in the Facebook group as well. One thing I will never say is join this thing and you will get a deal. You could join and never log in. You could join and not listen to a word we say. You could join and do everything right and the market crashes. I'm never going to guarantee a result. I can just guarantee that this is quality information that I use and find success with, that a ton of other investors in the boot camp have used and found success with. And we will support you on the way as you work through that journey. That's what I can guarantee. But I'm never going to say like, oh yeah, this will 100% offer success. How many offers did I make before I got my first one accepted? You can go back to like my early YouTube videos when I first did this, but I think I was at like, I don't know, maybe 1 year. I think I was at like 83 offers. You know, it was something up there. It was a couple months. How valuable is an extra bedroom when you're running comps? Really just depends on the properties and kind of what you have. But again, you want to get as similar as possible. Do we talk about other methods such as the BRRRR? Absolutely. So in the boot camp, we go through the basics of wholesaling, BRRRR, house hacking, buy and hold, Airbnb arbitrage, and creative financing. So the goal is not to make you an expert in any of things, but get you to the basics so you can start making offers and taking action. Do you recommend going after on market or off market? That's another question that we kind of go through in the boot camp. A couple of things it's going to be dependent on is your budget, your market, how much you're willing to spend to get a deal, or do you need to get a deal for free? Your timeline, you're trying to get a deal quickly. Are you willing to wait? All of those things go into it. Once you're in the boot camp, you're in for life. So I think that answers that question. A lot of people saying, thank you. I appreciate you guys. You're very welcome. Someone's asking about being self-employed and 2 years of work history. We do talk about the different types of loans. There are traditional loans that will require something like 2 years of work history, but you can also go into other types of bank loans. You go into private financing, go into partnering. We talk about a lot of that as well. Where do you list your wholesale deal? How do you find your buyers? We talk about all of that as well. Unfortunately, I can't go into that too deep. Do we do one-on-one mentoring? If you've taken the boot camp and you've gone through the entire thing and you need one-on-one help, then you can book a call with a coach from my team. But to be honest, if I opened up one-on-one mentoring and 100 of you signed up right now, I would have to charge so much to make it worth it that you wouldn't even want to pay it, right? Because if that's what I was doing all day, every day, then I couldn't do it for like 20 bucks a pop, right? So the goal of the boot camp is to be affordable and to give you everything you need. We're there to support you. And if you need extra help after that, then we can talk about one-on-one. If there's no comps, it's not a deal. I'm sorry, Tony. I don't want you to waste your time. If there's no comps, no one has bought and updated and successfully sold a house in the past 6 months in that area, it's not a deal. Just move on to another one. 1 second. I got kids in the background yelling. All right. Boom, 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 boom. If you don't join this month in the boot camp, you can join next month. But yeah, why wait? No, I'm just playing. Whenever it's right for y'all, it's right for y'all. Yes, we will email this recording to you. What if you want to buy and hold? Buy and hold. You still need to know how to run your comps and run your numbers and make sure it's a good deal. So everyone goes through the same process regardless of what exit strategy you're going to use, right? Wholesaling is just one way to make money from a good deal. Another way is to buy and hold it. Another way is to burr it. Another way is to Airbnb arbitrage it, but you still need to know how to find good deals. All right, I am going to stop there. Again, if you are wanting to get into this month's boot camp, I encourage you to join. I encourage you to email us any questions that you have. We're getting started on Saturday, and the link that I put in the chat box will answer all of your questions. And yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for